get right to journaling, man.
My name is Seth Marcus. I am the founder and head coach of the Mind Mill, performance and mindset work for psychedelic newcomers, specifically in mindful microdosing programs.
I'm Matt Lucas. I wrote a book on journaling. You've written a book on journaling. And I just work with people on mindfulness and mindset training, but I work in the athletic realm, Qigong, martial arts. Yeah, this thing's cool, by the way. You worked hard on this, I can tell. So, I mean, and even though I don't microdose, there's not one thing on here that can't help from a person just breathing as well.
I just wanted to make a perfect journal of all my favorite components from all the journaling I had done, my favorite prompts and daily reminders, scheduling, and it needed to be a little bit more niche. And at the time, I was helping people learn how to microdose, and they needed an education resource. So here we are. I put the two together. But the secret is you don't necessarily need to be microdosing in order to get everything out of the microdosing journal.
I would love to hear about your way of journaling. Like, what's different about this?
Sure. So when I first started journaling, I neglected it. I procrastinated because effectively I was afraid of the open page. Mm-hmm. When I'd buy a journal, I'd open it up, I'd make this dedication to myself. I'm going to be a daily journaler. Mm-hmm. It's going to be wonderful. And then I'd open the page and I would get really intimidated by just all that nothingness. And I kept feeling like I had to be like Hemingway every single draft, right?
Right.
And I couldn't get out of my own way to just flow. Okay. Then I found a structured journal. I found something that was available, marketed to me online, that offered more of like breaking out goals and achieving goals and setting mindfulness standards and things like that. And it really resonated with me. So I ended up using that journal for quite a long time to help me move through my life. And I started recognizing so many patterns in my world and what worked for me and what didn't work for me when it comes to journaling. And that led me to feeling like, well, I like this, that, and the other from this journal, and I'm missing other things. Like, what am I writing kind of in the captions and the sides that I wish I had in my own journal? And that's what led me to bringing all of my favorite pieces together into creating my own journal.
I have this thing called the 636 mindset, and mine initially started similar. I was actually, during COVID, I was asked to help these guys do some kind of, they know I do body language reading and stuff like that. And they brought me into a police brief. These cops that I was working for, these detectives, they're in kind of some homicide and all the stuff going on during COVID. They came to me and they said, hey, we want you to help us do some stuff with some filming and some tech work and go in and look at these workshops we're doing for rapport building for police. And I went in and I was like, yeah, y'all aren't ever going to open up because y'all invented this phrase, everything you say can and will be held against you in the court of law. So no police officer in this room feels safe to actually open up. So I said, try this exercise. I was working with one of them and I was like, it's a journaling exercise. So he calls me up the next day and he was like, I really like that approach because we can put it down here. And one of the guys was actually asking me, he's like, your brain's really fast. And I was like, well, this is my dojo. This is where I work out all my thoughts. And then I realized there's a gap in that world of they would go right to like training, right towards role play, but there was never that between. And then there was a lot of scripted journals. There was a lot of like helping, but there just wasn't what I benefit from in jujitsu and wrestling, drilling. Like, what is the way that you drill and strengthen your mind, period? Because what I noticed was we're all stuck in a script. So if I were to tell you to think of something or write something or what are you grateful for, you're still stuck in your own loop, script, mind, everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I just started coming up with drills to just expand their lenses, make them think of as many things as possible. And it's kind of similar to what I hear, like people that do microdosing. You're trying to expand their mind, right? But I just work it from like a drilling way. So then I wrote a book for them called The Journal Journey. I call it the JoJo. And then that evolved into what we call the 636 mindset, which is on my website, theyamasystem.com. You can go to 636mindset.com. And so I have online courses. I have a book that I wrote on it, a new book coming out, a deck of cards coming out, very similar scripted, nice. But it's drills, not and then I give this away to people for, this is just a blank journal. But if you do the drills, you're no longer afraid of that blank page.
Right. Gives you your workbook.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of make it your own with the different programs that you offer.
Yeah. Because I believe if you can't walk with it, it doesn't exist. So even in martial arts and in fitness and stuff, we go to classes, we do scripted things, which is very important, right? And then we have to, it's like learning a language, right? First you're learning the penmanship and you're reciting the things, and then you're learning maybe songs and stuff like that. But then after that, you got to go have conversations. And this is kind of, I wrote a book on how to have a conversation with yourself.
One of the things that I notice a lot with my clients, and what I noticed when I first started journaling, is my mind, it's like a emotional stock ticker. When you don't have as much control over it, I find myself either feeling like, oh, it's all good, I got it all figured out, or a lot of times the opposite, which is I'm a loser, I'm messing this whole thing up.
Oh yeah.
And when I started journaling and I started tracking my days in and out and following some of these prompts, and I'm sure we'll get into like our favorites and whatnot, I started recognizing that it's not pass fail.
Right.
Everything is on a spectrum. And sometimes my health was fantastic, but I neglected some things in my goals, my work, or my relationships are suffering, but I'm finding myself very dedicated to learning my guitar. And it's just, it turns into this fluid, ongoing process of me giving myself real analysis of how I'm doing, as well as like staying the course when I'm stating goals or having revelations. I can continue to reflect and continue to build upon that rather than just stay in that monkey mind of yes, no, good, bad. So that's been such a huge deliverable for my own journaling practice, and also with the people that I work with.
Yeah. All right. So I'm already stoked. So, and you say this, and it's funny because like just the one anecdote that I always tell people is at the end of every session that I do with anyone, I always just say, what do you know now that you didn't know at the beginning of this? Right. And I've never had anyone be able to answer that. And then because they're not, and a lot of times I go, if you say, I don't know, then all you need to know is now you know that you weren't paying attention. That's it. Like we're oftentimes going so far into the grandiose world, and we're going so far into the, I'm sure you've experienced this in the psychedelics world. It's like people think they're always healing from something. They might be traumatized. They're going way back to like this ancestry. And I'm like, no, right now, there is no past, there is no future. Here we are, right? It's funny how so many people will exist in the quantum realm, which has no time, but they won't shut up about their past and they won't stop freaking out about the future, yet here we are.
Yeah.
This is all we know. So I would always say, so what you know now that you didn't know is like you just weren't paying attention. So from now on, that's your new goal, is just pay attention to the littlest, tiniest things all the time. And again, yeah, not put so much pressure on the stuff. Like, I mean, you're a songwriter, and sometimes I would tell people, don't go through therapy in front of me. I don't know your name. I got to know you first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't get up and like just give me that, just connect first. Our first job is connect. So how do we connect with ourselves? So let's do it, man. Let's do a journaling exercise. I'm gonna dirty up your book.
Absolutely. It's not my book anymore.
Give me one. Where should I start?
Well, the beginning of that journal, it goes deep into best practices, harm reduction, all education basics for microdosing in general. And then it gets into what I think you'll really resonate with, which is a few pages beyond, which is where it says tools for success. And in the tools for success, there you go.
Got it.
This is where I feel like our Venn diagram intersects entirely. And the journal has 12 weekly focus points. So even though the daily journaling, you can make it as flexible or structured as you'd like when you get into the daily sides of it, the focus points shift from week to week from things of gratitude, routine building, affirmation work, visualization, embracing creative courage, things like that. It's all based on inner creativity, which I think is just the core of our life force. As far as specific prompts, each one of the weeks has more specific prompting in it.
Yeah.
But I think that what I would love is to see how you interact with the first daily page.
Okay. Not the tools for success.
Well, the tools for success are where we can kind of like jump off. It kind of teaches a bit.
Okay.
And I know you can kind of go through just the titles and understand, because we both train so much of these similar practices. But it all kind of accumulates into, I believe, the next page, which is what I call the Creator's Prayer, which is like a non-denominational, non-religious.
This is cool.
connection to all of the tools for success, which from my studies and my accumulated knowledge is what I just call my prayer practice. Sometimes my prayer is visualization. Sometimes it's nothing but gratitude. Sometimes I'm asking for things, and sometimes I'm praying for others. But my Creator's prayer is unique to me, and it doesn't go necessarily to Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha or anything like that. It's about just showing up for your own prayer practice.
I mean, I like this, breathe, meditation, stuff like that. I mean, technically, when you learn martial arts, they will just tell you you're just learning all these forms to keep you entertained while you learn to breathe.
Same with yoga, right?
Yeah, that's all it is, right? But the other thing that people don't realize is this is kind of a tangential drill that I do with people is to know where your nervous system is. And in my work, I call it lizard, monkey, human. Right? Lizard is survival, monkey is social, human is divine. And we can get into it deeper one day. But when you breathe, it can take you, most human beings will never be, on their best day, we will never get outside of monkey mind. Because monkey mind, we're chasing status, attention, or resource. That's it. So by breathing, we can transcend monkey mind, but or we can get out of the lizard mind, the survival mode, into monkey mind, and then you need a little bit of coaching to get up into your human world. But it's funny because you can kind of tell where you're at by what you write about. And the exercise that I have is like, you're at your house, you're all alone, and you hear a knock at the door. And so like when you hear that knock at the door, is it, oh my God, who's at the door? You might be in survival mode. If you're in monkey mind, why didn't they call? Why didn't they, right? Then you might be in monkey mind. But if you're like, oh, who's at the door? No, you're probably in human mind, right? So you can just, I call it, so you can track what you're talking about to sort of see what state of mind you live in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a fun thing. So breathing and meditation is sort of the way out of that. But without coaching, so I suggest hire somebody. Get a coach because it does take a little bit of training to get outside of monkey into human. I like the gratitude. Okay, so I'm going to go the prayer.
Just to echo on that, I feel like everyone that may be listening or watching this has the power to heal themselves. Working with a coach just allows that support and that accountability that I think we all struggle with.
And I'll add to that, it's not even accountability as much as it's calibration, right? Because when I say relax, right? You're only as relaxed as you know you can relax. So like a good coach can like get you more relaxed, or they can see, like it could be your best day, but it's always nice to have someone that sees something outside. So yeah, the accountability, but also the accountability to know that, I mean, the amount of times I've been around masters and there's always some person being like, I know my body. And you're like, you have no idea about your, it's like, you don't, but you know your body now, right? And so how do we find the people that we trust in order to calibrate ourselves? When I work with athletes and I tell them that we're going to do Qigong, they think we're going to do exercise. So I need to calibrate them to Qigong. When I work with yogis and I tell them to move and open, they're thinking yoga, but there's a different opening in structure than there is in stretch. So so to understand those calibrations to the construct that you're moving in, because all these are human constructs, this is what the coach does. It recalibrates you.
Calibration.
Right? A joke at work is different than a joke with your friends. You gotta read the room, and the coach is the person that allows you gives you more rooms to understand, right? So that's what I always say. So I think having a coach is good for that as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got the Creator's Prayer. I'm gonna read it because I'm getting in the zone. Okay. I like this. It doesn't matter how you pray, only that you pray. I like that. It doesn't matter how you meditate, only that you meditate. It doesn't matter how you journal, just show up and do it. Okay. Where's the Creator's Prayer?
Oh, it's down here. It's all of the. So basically, it's all the icons that we've been going through throughout the tools.
Ooh, this is cool.
So,
all right.
So starting at the prayer, which you just did.
Yeah. Okay.
It more of like a visual representation. So it really encourages you to play around with. Like if you notice, it's the pause, taking breaths, closing your eyes. That's the mandatory part, and then it says make it your own.
Yeah.
Right. How do you want to apply it?
Okay, so I'm gonna read them. So I got to pause. I'm gonna close my eyes. not doing that right now because I'm reading. I'll take 6 deep breaths. Okay. Again, that's where my coach will calibrate me to tell me to slow it down or speed it up, however. Make it your own, which I love that. We can talk about that. Express gratitude. And again, what is your level of gratitude, right? I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this million things. Raise my vibration. I'm going to need some calibrate on that. And let's see, set an intention, manifest your abundance, slow down, visualize the future, what makes you happy, and then smile. And I like that because in Qigong, we always say, go into it with a smile.
Yeah.
My dad would always say, no despair. Because you'd go to do push-ups and your head would go down. You'd be like, and he'd be like, if you tell yourself you're hard, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
If you know you're born for this, your body knows it too.
I'd always like to be the jerk in yoga or a HIIT class that's just like smiling and like loosening their jaw rather than just looking like you hate it like most people.
In Qigong, we call it the 3 smiles. There's 3 diaphragms. There's the lower, the pelvic floor, and then there's the diaphragm, and then there's the vocal cords. And so the lower diaphragm smiles, and then this diaphragm smiles, and then the throat smiles. The internal smiles, right? Yeah, 3 diaphragms. I like that.
So for the purpose of this interactive podcast that we're doing, I'm using this open area of the daily page to apply what Matt said earlier, which is what do you know now that you didn't know before? This is going to be a lot of things.
I'm just going to go ahead and let everyone know that the first thing I noticed about him, other than he's strong jaw, clean cut, looking sharp dude, is rough voice and writes tiny.
Yeah, we might have to zoom in.
Yeah. Writes tiny. Can't zoom in enough, I'll tell you right now. All right. So I've done the prayer. And then so I have my weekly focus writing prompts. Okay, all that stuff. I love this. Okay. Ooh, I'm starting my journey. All right, I am on page 28 where it starts my journey. I did this. Yeah, sorry.
So this is where, if you're starting out in the journal, this is where we really kind of set the tone, right? We've gone through the education, we've gone through the tools, and now we're like, what are our goals for the next 3 months, right? It's a playground for us to throw some stuff out there, maybe come to terms with what we're struggling with, and then once we have our goals and we're very honest with ourselves, then we give ourselves space to curate a routine and some statements on how we're going to show up for the next 12, 13 weeks, however long it takes you to complete the journaling practice. Now, again, you're very much in an advanced category. I would highly recommend, rather than thinking about the next 3 months of your journey, if that's the prompt that resonates with you, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd say move forward and see what other parts of the journal resonate with you.
I would actually like to stay here because what I feel is the more advanced I got on anything, whether it's training people, whether it's martial arts practice, meditation, the more advanced I got, the more I just go back to day 1 and repeat that. Because I'm at day 1 on everything now. I'm at stand there and breathe.
Yeah.
And goal setting is a really important one because I was miscalibrated my entire life. I was also taught to not really set, my goals are quicker. And so I'm always needing to set goals because I went back to the beginning and forgot the most important thing, which is the only goal I should have had at the beginning was love myself. That's it. Because every goal that I set wasn't from a place of self-love, period. It was not. It was always from chasing status, attention, resource, power. It was trying to please somebody. It was like a million other goals. So again, having a coach or a great meditation practice or whatever, like I remember just sitting in a place in the woods all alone. I've taken the past 5 years off. Well, I said take 5 years off. I'm in year 4. Going into these places of fasting for 10 days, only water, just meditating all day. This thing just said, hey man, like, just love yourself. So that's the goal. Shimon.
I love it.
And yeah, because I mean, think of how many goals we have where it really, if you were to close your eyes and see who's really at the table with you, are you trying to please a coach? Are you trying to please a parent? Are you trying to please some part of you that doesn't exist anymore? Right? That's my goal. Love myself. All right, I'm writing that down.
I love that.
Yeah. Love myself. Like I was a musician, I quit music because I never made the album that I was stoked about. But I had a couple record deals. I was, in television and film. But then it was just to get over seeing myself on camera, right? And so I realized like I achieved great success at myself, not a great success because I loved myself. So that's my goal. All right.
When you love yourself, you can truly be yourself and
Right.
act freely, rather than at the fear of the judgment of the external.
Yeah, and my working functional definition of love is to love is to not judge. So no right, wrong, bad, or good. Because to love is to connect with nature, and nature doesn't have right, wrong, or bad, or good, right? So it's acceptance and no judgment. So I no longer judge my judgments of myself, right? Because don't even judge judgment, right? Because we need it a little bit, right? Judgment, discernment, all that stuff. Okay, so if that's my thing, what I would like to do is integrate my work into your work.
I love it.
Because I don't do anything, I'm a martial artist and I'm contracted through a bunch of other places. So I don't go in saying, I do it like this or you do it. My thing is always, I develop little systems that can piggyback on top to recalibrate anything to be able to use anything in your day-to-day, period.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll just go through what I call the 636. That's it.
Yeah.
The 636 is simple: who, why, when, what, where, how. Right? That's the first 6. And then the last 6 is your 6 senses, right? Smell, touch, taste, all the way up to the 6th sense would be intuition. Okay. What do you know that you don't know why you know it? Like you know something, you don't know where it came from, who taught it to you. But the most important thing is the 3 lenses. So it's 6 questions, 3 lenses, 6 senses. Right? Okay. So the 3 lenses would be external, internal, and trivial, right? So like, for example, we both journal, right? Externally, it looks like this, right? When I open yours up, this is the way I feel. But the trivial thing is different, right? The choice that you made in this, the colors, right? You're wearing a shirt, I'm wearing a shirt, right? What brand of toothpaste do you use, right?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, so
My girl picks it up.
Yeah. I use Bite, right? It's these little tablets, right?
Sure, yeah.
But those little choices tell me more about you. I call them trivial, but the trivial things are really important, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell. Is someone wearing a watch? What kind of watch? Someone wearing shoes? What kind of shoes? Right? You didn't accidentally get dressed, right? So that's an important thing. So when I have this goal, right, I would do it from an internal, external, and trivial goal, right? Or what is a goal? If my goal is to love myself, who, me, why? Well, because I made all these, right? And all that stuff. But then I'll go in the internal. How does it make me feel, right?
Okay.
To even think about this,
Okay.
right? What's going to look like externally when I do love myself, right?
Interesting. Okay.
And then what are the trivial choices that I want to make, right? Intention setting. Once I love myself, what are the trivial choices? How will my choices change, right?
Okay.
Things like that. So that's the way I would do this goal setting, right?
So I'd love to try that. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
this is where we get into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'd like to figure out what that looks like. So 636 principle
Yeah.
in my tiny handwriting.
Tiny handwriting.
So I'm just gonna write them out.
Yeah.
So who, what, when, where, and are these longer statements or these are one word, like small?
Or it could just be, you don't even need those. You always know if you're writing about yourself, you don't need to write on that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Who, myself. Yeah.
These are just ideas to get you away from fearing the blank page.
And I'm curious I'm blanking as to where, like, what the subject matter would be to build off of the 636.
It could be a goal. It could be an intention, right?
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It
Who, what?
piggybacks on anything.
All right, so I got the 6, and let's see how good my memory is. Internal, external, trivial.
Mm-hmm.
The last 6 are the senses.
Mm-hmm. It's the hardest thing for me to remember.
The sixth one is intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I got it right.
Yeah.
I want to expand on my current career goals.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with this. I've never done something like this.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I can.
And I'm already kind of between, is it that or is it these music goals?
This is where you nailed it. Speaking of trivial ideas, I wanted a book like that to where I can.
The Spiral Bound?
Yeah, Spiral Bound is so good, man. All right.
I'm almost done with the 3.
Okay.
And I feel like the last 6 will be quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I may have doubled down. I have sound and hear as 2 different senses, so I may have been missing one. I have sight, sound, touch, taste, intuition,
Smell.
smell. Okay.
It's my favorite one. And so the 636 is also what I use for conversational stuff, rapport building stuff, anything. I mean, there's a lot, since this was initially designed around empathy training, it's always knowing that there's an angle we can go, but we won't get into that today. But what I love doing, so first off, I really liked the way, I did all the way up through setting my own creator's prayer.
Oh,
right?
beautiful.
Yeah. But since my stuff is so simple, it's like not, it's like love myself, done, right? You know, it's like, that's it. I already have my routines. I had my routines not around loving myself. So just now you do it with self-love. You do it without judgment. You do it without all that stuff. So that was like a really powerful thing. So thank you for that. And I don't really, I write goals down, but I've always been in that place of like when I would get around people, I'd be like, sometimes your best goal is to let your goals go. Because in this book I'm writing called The Keg Party Theory, I work with athletes, right? And sometimes those athletes are still trying to be 22 again, right? So you might have the same goal, right? I remember in a band, right? Realizing that I don't think I really want to be the 45-year-old dude wearing eyeliner in the punk rock club. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the 40-year-old at the keg party. But it doesn't mean I don't want to go to potlucks and I don't want to, you know what I mean? There's still a keg party in you. But like, how has it changed?
Absolutely.
So how do we reincarnate ourselves every morning, every night when we go to bed? I call it death practice. You lay down, everything goes. How do you wake up tomorrow a little bit higher, right? So that's the way I look at it. I guess the last metaphor that I always use is in this work, sometimes the goal is to heal, and then a lot of times what my intention with people is to make them realize they're probably not broken. So now what? Is the goal to remain in that identity, or is the goal to actually walk forward with a person that just knows that we all have a little work to do, but you ain't broken.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, how'd the 636 work for you?
636 was fun. Go back. So in the back of the journal is just open pages because as much as I love the structure, you need to have some place there. It's just all for you. And right before that are coloring pages that feature all artwork that's sprinkled in pieces throughout the entire journal. So if you like coloring and doodling too, it's there as well. Yeah. Do you want me to share?
Sure. Yeah.
You spoke on loving yourself, which I think set the tone. I mean, it doesn't get much more. I teach my clients is just like this pyramid principle, like that we have work goals, physical goals, relationship goals, social goals, all across the board. But ultimately, it's like if we could look at the top of the pyramid, what is that? And it's usually some sort of spiritual, natural identification and like love of oneself in all things.
Yeah.
Right. Very, very similar. Right. Love yourself. So looking at career goals. And thinking about where I'm at right now in my profession, who, myself, what, my career, my value, and my validation, which is basically the root of it, is feeling validated, feeling that what I have created is something that other people resonate with, and that starts with me feeling that way, and so others can't help but feeling it. When, over the next 3 months. And when the next 3 months distilled into weeks, days, etc. So starting with a larger goal and bringing it to something more micro. Where? Hawaii, where we are right now. Also Colorado, where I lived for the last 15 years, and also online.
Right.
How? Through authenticity, vulnerability, and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I love myself and I have so much to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Internal. Internal, or excuse me, starting with external? Is that how
Either one.
doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with
There's no
external.
order. Yeah.
Approaching people in person and posting content.
Okay.
The approaching people sometimes is scary, but it also feels a lot more natural for my personality type.
Mm-hmm.
The content is a little bit icky.
Okay.
I get imposter syndrome. I sometimes have
Mm-hmm.
monologue anxiety, things like that. Internal, believing people need and want my unique services.
Mm.
And the trivial is the jokes, the humor, the music, and the real authenticity of it.
Nice. All right.
For the last 6, sight would be professional and approachable.
Okay.
Sound, well-spoken, real, charismatic.
Mm-hmm. Popping.
Popping.
Okay. You gotta pop.
It's got to pop.
Yep. Gotta pop.
Got to pop. Touch. I think I wasn't expecting too many people to be touching me or what that looks like, but
Yeah.
strength and vulnerability.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling. Right.
Okay.
Going back to authenticity. Right. Mm-hmm. Smell, clean but not fragrant. Which I think there's a balance here in Hawaii between those two.
Yep.
Taste, in good taste, a little sweet, a little salty.
Yeah.
I like being relatable.
Yep.
I like being able to speak with some level of authority and be able to help people with the actual verbiage of good education and also make it relatable and maybe a little crass here and there, right? Taste, I said just that one, and then intuition, good vibes, trust, relatable.
And so I like that. And so the overreaching thing, it's funny because like internal, external, trivial is every single thing you talk about also has an internal, external, trivial. Mm. And like, for example, with success is one of the funniest ones that it's like when you reach your goals, right? Like I remember someone's like, what's going to happen when you reach this goal? I'm like, my car is going to stop squeaking because I'm going to go get it fixed or I'm going to buy a new one, right? Mm-hmm. How's it going to smell? Well, I'm going to move and I'm going to be in a nice house. And finally, like I remember on tour, it's like when I finally reached success, like I smelled different because I was able to stay in hotels now.
Shower.
Like life smelled different mm-hmm. when I got more successful. Life felt different. Like finally my sheets were linen, mm-hmm. right? Like it expands all over, right?
Yeah.
And what do you know that you don't know and all these other things. So everything is internal, mm-hmm. external, and trivial. Everything, right?
Yeah.
Because everything we're doing, and at first, when we're in monkey mind and we're in lizard mind, everything you see makes an emotion happen, changes your nervous system, right? That's why breathing is so important. But once you become that human, you're just, my teachers would always tell me, Matthew, bowling ball, because like no matter what, if I'm happy, I'm happy. Don't matter. I don't care I'm not going to take on your stress. Doesn't mean I'm not empathetic towards your stress, right? Hmm. But at the same time, I've been stressed too, and I'm fine. Yeah. It's like talking to a 12-year-old when they break up for the first time. Mm-hmm. You're like, sorry, man. You know what I mean? But it's like, here, let me give you a couple mixed tapes and you just sit down and listen to The Cure for a moment and like, we're going to be good, right? So it's like, that's the idea. So all of this has an internal, external, and trivial kind of thing around it. And I think just by approaching everything from that lens, and then there's a lot more drilling you can do with it. But that's like the fundamentals of what I do when I'm speaking to people. Like I'm off to Colorado to do a big thing, Universal Consciousness Festival. It'll be fun. And then I do a lot of speaking engagements. I do a lot of podcasts and writing and all that stuff. But yeah, the second you start, it's like, how can you talk about something physical from a place of internal, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what comes up for me when I go through this and I hear your feedback is the goals are almost trivial in the right way. It's about the systems that are sprung from your internal state. Mm-hmm. And like to what you're saying, when you love yourself, when you have a clear vision, when you mm-hmm. are treating your mind and body right, the systems that just come out, like when you wake up, when you go to sleep, what you're choosing to ingest, what you're mm-hmm. how much screen, like useless screen time, what you're telling about your, all these things become the system for success, where the goals will evolve. Oh, I want that new car or that new house, or to get out from debt, or whatever you're looking at. But setting up the systems will continue to serve you down the road.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed, especially in this year of my life, is I made a big change. I left Colorado. I sold my house. My business has been doing well. And obviously I have the next goals for the business. Oh, I want to hit these numbers of exposure or clients or income or whatever it is. But everything is, and this comes from the journaling, everything that comes to the surface is mainly psychological.
Yeah.
Is can I really financially not afford this rent or to do that? Or is it more of like my own inner monologue telling me that I need to hold on to this because it may not be here forever?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is the spiritual side that's telling me that I'm internally telling my story that causes everything to ripple out from that? Right. And that's been a big shift for me this year, is just being aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many. So my tagline used to be like, we were always doing all this like training for, I was doing the stunt performing and working on all these, with fighters, and then people were like, well, what are you training these people for? And I'm like, I realized, there was a major deficiency in calibration, major deficiency in view training, which is being aware of the lens. In the Tao, we'd always say, what is constant isn't conscious. So you're probably not even aware of the lens that you're smearing all over everything. But when you can bring the constant back into your consciousness, now you're choosing this script, right? That's all it is, right? Just admit it. Now you can say, do I want it or not, right? But then the other thing is, I would say the other deficiency that I saw was, I just said, I just want to train you for 2 moments. That's it. When you go to bed, when you wake up, those are the only 2 times that you're you. And you should listen to yourself at those times, right? Because that's where you're going to hear it. Because when we're here, like I'm looking at you from here up, from the solar plexus, ego, up through the performer, we always say, and what we saw in all the performances that we put on, right? You're probably not paying attention to the back of your body. We're probably not paying attention to the lower half of our bodies. All of these things are not performing, but from here up, performing all day, right? So how do you get your intention other places, turn this damn thing off, and then actually start tuning into yourself when you go to bed, when you wake up? You go to bed, when you wake up. If you can start your day, I always say, you don't have to start your day authentically from those. That's when you're authentic. When you're laying in bed at night, you're hearing everything. So nail those 2 moments, man. And journaling is a good part for that. Like, start by tuning in, start by loving yourself. So I remind myself. I don't go to bed without reminding myself to love myself. I don't wake up. It doesn't have to be a big deal. 1 minute, 2 breaths.
Yeah. And going to one of the daily sections of the journal, and I specifically didn't do mine this morning so that I would have like a blank slate to kind of start with that. But first thing, right in the top corner. So go a few more pages and you'll get there. Yeah, 1 more page. There you go.
Okay.
This is the daily section. This is every single day. And I tell everyone who uses these journals, like, make this your own. If you're not much for a physical calendar, then don't use it as a physical calendar. But it's more of like a structured playground. You do with it what you will. But at the very top, first thing, pause, close your eyes, 6 breaths, and then make it your own, like we talked about earlier. Like, and I feel like that's exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes twice a day. It doesn't have to be a dedicated meditation practice. It can just be, how can you tap in quickly? And I tell people I work with, how can you do it more often throughout the day in short little stints rather than once for a longer term, for a longer period? Because then you're starting to train your mind to tap into gratitude, to tap into presence more often. So maybe the cue isn't first thing in the morning, because it may or may not always happen. Sometimes it's like, well, right before I pick up my kids from school, do I want to be an anxiety wreck from all the stress that I've gone through to get me to that line at the elementary school waiting? Or do I want to show up bright and like ready to love my kids, right? And those are those moments where we can quickly reset. So that's a huge huge part is just like bite-sized mindfulness
Yep.
in the space.
And this is a shout out to anyone that's getting into this work. You wrote a thing over here of like, make it your own, right? And this is what happens. So I don't do a lot of spiritual stuff. It's not my business. I told you, like, it's not American foreign policy to me. It's not my job to free you and then walk away. If we're just going to see each other for the weekend, like, I'm not going to free you. Like, that's bad karma for me. But journaling and stuff it helps you free yourself. But the other thing that I really like is the phrase, you bring yourself to enlightenment, right? So just because I went to this one, there was all these yogis and they were like, this yoga guru guy would send all these people to me. So I finally went to one of their events and they're like, why don't you ever come to this? And I'm like, well, because y'all aren't funny and your music sucks. Like, no offense. Everyone's like kind of a pity party and your music is weird and not my thing. I'm more into Led Zeppelin and, it's like I have a thing but you're allowed to be that. Right. And the more I was around things and the more I was exposed to authenticity, because again, like in our world, in our line of work, there's a lot of people that are performing. And that's what I told you. You were like, what do you notice about me? I was like, you haven't lost your voice, right? You haven't become that thing, right? And some people talk like that, but you can tell when it's real, right? And so I like that, like make it your own. You're allowed to make it you're allowed to use your, I'm always, it's like kind of grew up in the South and grew up in rock bands and punk bands and stuff. So I just have a different, I guess, idiom that I'm calling from, right? And you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
You're allowed to play with it.
And I would say that that's truly your calling.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a tragedy to be like, oh, well, I'm a, in your case, 70s or 70s kid, Cure, punk rock, hard rock, and yet my clientele, my perceived clientele wants kirtan and soft spoken and elegant language that comes from Sanskrit.
I was first, second, third series certified Ashtanga yoga. Like I know the Sanskrit, and every time people would say, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "It means I have no idea how to speak Sanskrit," right? And this one guy was like, Matt, you guys, he goes, you're a musician. You ever play spiritual songs? I'm like, yeah. You ever heard the blues? Yeah, it's pretty spiritual, dude. Like, sorry. Yeah. And then I have another buddy who was like this huge, he was kind of in that world of like Tool. And now he's singing kirtan, right? Next level. But he's adding an energy, right? That is like, when you hear him sing, you're like, oh man, what's this? Like he's adding like this. And he's calling on something. He's not performing. He's in it, right? He spent his 10,000 hours on stage. That guy is like in.
Yeah.
But yeah, when something, so that's the idea is like when I do Tai Chi and I work with all these masters, you always know when the old gangsters are doing Tai Chi versus just someone that just kind of learned, in kind of the feel good world, right? Because these people like went through the fire and now that, they have yin and yang working, right? And so, yeah, feel free to like bring your energy. There's also people that are like, I'm going to make this, like, you hear these people like, I'm going to do yoga to heavy metal. It's like, no, now you're trying hard. It's kind of like you're trying too hard to make it unique. Like if it feels natural, let it be natural.
Yeah.
And, if you want to listen to Tom Petty, listen to Tom Petty. If you want to listen to kirtan, listen to kirtan. But you're allowed to do both.
It goes into that kind of the duality of all things, where it's like you have to step out of your comfort zone to see what makes you authentically you.
Yeah.
So like, maybe it is super cheesy to be like, oh, I'm just going to do heavy metal yoga. Right. Yeah. And maybe you try it and it doesn't quite land. Right. But you learn from that.
Yeah.
And then that helps you kind of land and like bounce back and forth, the pendulum swing till you find what really does feel right. Because I think with both of our lives, and I've just only started to get to know you, the amounts of failures, perceived failures, have stacked into great successes in building the character that makes us unique, right? And I'm looking forward to the next one. Right? It's like, this is not the final version of this journal. There will be typos. I mean, when I first printed this journal out, I spent months working with designers and everything, and I go to the front page when we finally print the first 50 versions, and I spelled psychedelic wrong. It was like the cosmic joke of like, well, here I am stepping into this like strength point of like, okay, now I'm going to start teaching people on psychedelics, and like first thing I do is spell psychedelic wrong on the first page.
So my book, the journal Journey, which is also, online and online course and everything, but it's funny because like, it's like, it was all based around the 636, and the file that I sent out was around the original typo, which was 535. So the entire book is, never is, who, why, when, what, where, know how, or know who, or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that isn't there. And then I paid to have 4 people proofread it. And then after the first getting beat up, because like my biggest fear is not, I've done fighting and stunts and, just all kinds of extreme sports, made a career out of it. But like writing something and like handing it to someone, man, terrifying.
Yeah.
And then when I'm sitting there handing it to like PhD English majors and stuff, and I have like songs that have been in university archives of great poems and all this other stuff, but it's different when you have a band backing you. Like I always say, music lets the mediocre poetry shine, right? But I just remember opening that book and just being like, huh, well, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But it's just like the first time you hear yourself on an answering machine or a recording, you're like, well, looks like that's what I did, So I mean, it's just it's a picture of a weird hairstyle that you had, and you know what?
that high school photo.
And so now I'm energized to do the next one.
Yeah, I always think John Lennon, who's probably my number one as far as influential songwriters and musicians in history, hated the sound of his voice.
Oh yeah,
and which is why he would push the band to let him track it twice, and then they created that doubling style, which then became a trend that musicians use to this day. All came out from John Lennon not liking his raw voice.
Yeah, doubling and tripling, that was his thing. And and that's the whole idea, is like, it's art, you're allowed to play with it, you're allowed to create. And that's so important. Oh dude, can I give you a round of applause?
That was great.
I'm really excited about doing this.
To many more. And I think that this was super fun, engaging, just talking about what brought us to journaling, as well as our favorite techniques. There's just so many too. I mean, we hardly even tapped into any of the other prompts that you can go down. But I think ultimately this is a relationship with writing is cultivating a relationship with yourself. Yeah. And being a little bit more aware of what's going on with you from a day to day. It starts with the breath, and then this is kind of like, this is your tablet to continue to see where it is.
Yeah, man. All right.
Matt, it's been a pleasure.
Dude.
Yeah.
All right, where can we find you?
I'm available at themindmill.com, or that's my social media handle too. Also just Seth Marcus. Look me up. Okay. I'm living in the Big Island of Hawaii, and also spending a lot of time back in my old stomping grounds in Denver, Colorado, and working online with clients and group coaching. You guys find me at theyama.com, the YAMA system, or www.theighttpiece, the8piece.com, which that is a Qigong collaboration with the Wudong monk and a Shaolin. This is the first project where I actually got the Shaolin and Wudong systems to collaborate together, because Qigong, I call it Chinese spaghetti sauce. That's a whole other story, but they rarely work together. They're always competing, and I feel the way art moves forward is by collaborating, and we're wondering why these arts are slowly dying off, and they're moving in towards the kind of more pop culture-y, kind of not disciplined, we're just kind of repeating. So to get that wisdom together and put it together is my dream come true. So I think I sent you some of that stuff. Yeah. So those two guys, and we came up not with a Qigong system, but a way to test Qigong to where you can decide what's in or out. Like we came up with like our own way to test it by, each one of us have been studying for over 30 years. So it's pretty legit. So yeah, that's our thing. Well, what comes up to mind with me that I think echoes to what you're saying is, we work on referrals. We work with people who love working with us.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in either one of our offerings or someone
yeah,
I just say I work with a lot of people's conservative uncles.
Yeah.
Helping them learn how to
Yeah.
find their mindfulness and get out of their ego, combat alcoholism, things of that nature. So if you or someone is interested, please reach out.